I lifted my camera and snapped a shot of a green truck and white snow and black clouds and the friendly shape of a good man inside and red glowing taillights driving away, leaving me alone. I turned toward the mountain. It still wasn't there. It wouldn't show itself to me, hiding in clouds, waiting for me to come to it. "This is it, buddy," I said. Bo whined and pranced around me. It was freezing. On the other side of the parking lot, just past the visitor center, was a dark little stand of pine trees hunched down in the wind. I walked over into the middle of it with Bo at my heels. "Stay," I told him. Bo cocked his head and looked up at me. "I'll be right back." I put the backpack down and turned and walked away. I knew he'd stay. He was a good dog. The visitor center was huge inside, with high towering ceilings and great open spaces filled with displays about Mount Rainier. It was a big 3D model of the mountain that you could walk all the way around, and exhibits about the plants and animals that lived there, and information about history and climbing routes. I looked at the model, its black stone faces and great white peak, and I felt tiny and terrified and alone, alone, alone. With the storm coming, the place was almost empty. Just a few people here and there, in twos and threes and fours. I recognized some of the people from the shuttle bus and tried to avoid eye contact. I was the only person I saw who was all by himself. Upstairs was a gift shop. It had books and maps and movies and keychains and snacks. I dug through my pocket and pulled out the last of my money. 9 lousy bucks. The last bucks of my 9 bucks of my life. I grabbed a couple of Snickers bars, some chocolate-covered peanuts, and a bag of trail mix. There were a few families shopping around, the kids excited and noisy, asking their parents to buy stuff. I moved through them quietly, without being noticed. It was like I was already a ghost. I wanted to ask them to buy me a stuffed animal and then go home with them and change my name and live forever. The lady at the register rang up my snacks. $8.50, she said. The lady looked crabby. She was wearing too much makeup. She smelled like cigarettes, and she looked at me like she hated me. My headache, always there, scraped its dull teeth against the inside of my skull. She couldn't be the last person I talked to. It couldn't end like that. My heart trembled at how small and lonely it felt. "Is there a payphone?" I asked. My voice was weak, pushing through my pounding head and trembling heart. "Downstairs," she answered. I put one of the candy bars back. "Could I have my change in quarters?" She almost rolled her eyes, but she gave me quarters. I walked downstairs. The phone was in a dark little hallway that led to the bathrooms. There was no one around. My hands were shaking, and the quarters squeezed in my fists were wet with sweat. I fed the quarters in one by one. I felt almost too shaky to stand. My head was one big pounding ache. I screwed my eyes shut, trying to remember the number. I only had one shot. I needed to get it right. I pressed the numbers one after one. The buttons were metal and worn smooth by thousands of fingers. With the last number pushed, I pressed the phone to my ear and leaned forward against the booth and closed my eyes. My ear reached out to hundreds of miles through the hissing static. The phone rang.